velocity versus time. And I just repeat what I have drawn. Okay, we did it for phi 0 equal to 0. So equation of V becomes a omega cos omega t plus phi 0. That is, instead of phi 0 now you put 0 here. So this, right? Okay, so you start by taking different values, right? So for example, when this is 0, that is for t equal to 0, it will start at plus a omega. Then when you put small t equal to capital T by 4, so this angle will become pi by 2. That's what we have already talked about. So here it will become 0 when this is t by 4. So like this, graph will take the same kind of pattern. I am not taking all the values again. Okay, if you have any questions about any particular value, you tell me that how. Okay, you tell me what's the problem. Then we might talk about it. Come on. So like this, you get for 0 to t, then it continues. Do you have any problem with any of the particular values, like taking t by 2, taking 3t by 4, or taking t and all that? Okay. Any questions about this graph? All right. Okay. So that's it for velocity. Now you see, this was graph of v versus t. Right? This was graph of v versus t. Let's draw a graph of v versus x. V versus x, that is velocity with position. Okay, velocity with position. So first of all, to draw a graph, we should write the equation. What's the equation? V equal to, what's the equation between v and x? Come on, what's the relation? Do you remember, everyone? Yes, they were. Come on, others. Sweetya, Desu. Ami, correct. No, Vishwa. So now we are giving them right answer. It is omega multiplied with square root of under root a square minus x squared, and then it could be plus or minus. Okay. So let's draw a graph of v versus x. Okay, so x coordinate could be negative, could be positive, right? Okay, so here this is origin 0. X coordinate could be negative or positive. So if you would draw the positive part, if you would draw only the positive part, listen to this carefully, then what would it look like? Let's see. When particle is at mean position, particle is at mean position, the speed is maximum, isn't it? How much is that maximum speed? When particle is at mean position, how much is the maximum speed? Value, omega into it, right? So that would be the maximum speed. Let's say here, omega into it. Okay, then when the particle goes to amplitude, that is extreme position, either plus a or minus a, v becomes 0, correct? Hopefully you remember that. So that means when you take x equal to plus a, this would become 0. Basically it's not a straight line because this is not a linear equation, right? This is square, it's a parabolic graph. Similarly on this side also, here at x equal to minus a, so whether at x equal to a or x equal to minus a, the speed will be 0, like this. Did you understand? Again, let me tell you, I have only drawn the positive part. Suppose you draw the negative part, then instead of v being positive upwards, you would be going over here, v negative. Clear? Then it would be downward like this. Basically, you know, it's going to be like an ellipse. Sorry, I said parabola, I was wrong. Just one thing, correction. Okay, this is not going to be a parabola, it's going to be an ellipse, right? Okay, so it would form a shape like this, or oval shape actually, oval-like shape, which is an ellipse, right? So math students will realize that if you square this out, you get an equation that is similar to that of ellipse, right? You have studied that equations of ellipse can have x square and y square, right? So like that. Okay, it's not going to be a circle, of course, right? But anyways, everyone, I mean, biology students, don't worry too much about it. It's fine, right? That we get a graph like this. So you can draw either the upper branch or the lower branch, no problem with it. Okay. Now let's go to the next thing. That is relation of, graph of acceleration versus time. Graph of acceleration versus time. This is easy. X is equal to a sine omega t. We are taking phi 0 is equal to 0. A is equal to minus omega square x, right? This is one of the important relations of simple harmonic motion. So this will be minus omega square a sine omega t. So what this means is that this just indicates that a and x are going to be in opposite manner in the graph as well. So for example, listen to this carefully. Suppose we draw the graph of x first. We have already done it, I will not spend too much time. It's going to be like this. Okay? Right? So this time is 0, this is t by 4, this is t by 2, this is 3t by 4, and this is t, and then so on and so forth. This is graph of x. Now if I were to draw graph of a, then because x and a are proportional to each other, but there is a minus sign, that's why the graph of a will be reverse. Reverse, that is inverted. Okay, so blue is x and black is a. Be careful. Okay, black is a. So the graph of a will be opposite or inverted compared to this. So here it would be like this. Okay, but the height may be different. Why so? The reason is that the maximum acceleration is only omega square a. Right here, the maximum value is plus a for the displacement, right? But for displacement, the maximum value is plus a and minimum value is minus a. But for acceleration, maximum value is omega square a and minimum value will be minus omega. Minimum value will be minus omega square a. Understood the graph, everybody? Why are the heights not same? Simple reason. Maximum value of x is a, but maximum value of acceleration is not a, it is something else. It is a into omega square. That's why the height is not the same. Understood? Okay, fine. Looks like a lot of people are sleepy today. Well, now we'll draw graph of a versus x. Just like we have drawn graph of v versus x here, we'll now draw the graph of a versus x. So graph of a versus x. This is so simple. A is equal to minus omega square x. So you see, this is a direct proportionality, okay, and no powers involved. So that's why this is a linear equation, and that's why the graph will be a straight line. But if x is positive, then a will be negative. Okay, I hope you realize what I'm saying. When x is positive, a will be negative. So that's why the graph will be as follows, a straight line like this. Why so? If you put x equal to 0, a is also 0. Fine. So it passes through origin. Okay, if you put x equal to 0, a is 0. Then when x becomes plus a is equal to minus omega square. Okay, so when x is plus a, then a is minus omega square. Understood? When x is minus a is plus omega square. So that's clear. Hopefully you understood the graph, right? This is in fact the easiest of them all, right? Well then, so out of all these, anything could be useful when we are solving questions. Again, here we have drawn this for phi 0 equal to 0, but it's not necessary that always you get it for phi 0 equal to 0. If it's for, let's say, phi 0 equal to pi by 4, then you'll have to write plus pi by 4 and plus pi by 4 here and do it accordingly, right? Of course, we cannot do all the questions in the class, I mean all the cases in the class, right? You'll have to use your concepts, put values and then draw the graph. That's how it works, okay? So, that's what we have in this part of graphs. Now, I'm going to erase everything and we move over to the next concept. Relation of K that is force constant with omega F or T that is time period. Relation of force constant with omega F or T. Why this graph is not wave shape? Simple relation, Tracy. This is linear. This is like y proportional to x. Okay? In that kind of situation, when you draw the graph of a versus x, because both their powers are 1, that's why it's a straight line. Okay? Linear equation. Okay, now, here, relation of force constant. Let's say that there is some particle which is doing SHM between E and E dash. Okay? So this thing has 0 plus m and 0. Right? And suppose the net external force on it, right, this is also called restoring force. Do you remember that? When particle is doing SHM, the net external force is also called restoring force. Okay? So that is equal to minus k delta x. But if you take mean position as origin, then instead of delta x you can write x minus 0, or that is simply x. Okay, just x. Understood so far? Okay, this is what we have already learned, right? Not much new. But then we have another relation. It's that acceleration is equal to minus omega square x, isn't it? We have a relation that acceleration is equal to minus omega square x. Now, I am going to ask you, is there any way to connect this with this? Is there any way to connect this with this? Come on. Can you relate total external force and acceleration? Can you relate total external force and acceleration? Yeah, one of the easiest things in the world, isn't it? Newton's second law, right? So that is sigma F external is equal to mass into acceleration. We could do that. So if we do that here, okay, frankly speaking, if you write vector, then you should put vector on both sides. But anyways, here we are just dealing with one-dimensional motion. So sigma F external is mass into acceleration. So this is going to be minus kx equal to m into minus omega square x, right? Very simple, just put these two values. X cancelled and we get the relation. That's it, right? Nothing complicated here. Such an easy derivation. So what do we get? Therefore, K is equal to m omega square. Understood? K is equal to m omega square, right? This, of course, you can write it in few different forms. Okay, omega equal to under root k by m, or frequency. See, frequency is omega by 2 pi. Right? Frequency is omega by 2 pi, because earlier we have derived that omega is 2 pi into f. Right? We have derived that omega is 2 pi into f. So f is omega by 2. So if I use that here, this will become what? Let's say, let me write it. F is equal to 1 by 2 pi under root k by m. F for frequency, correct? And similarly, time period, which is reciprocal of frequency, it's raining formulas, people. Okay? So, out of all this, frankly speaking, if you can remember one and some basics, like omega is 2 pi f and t is equal to 1 by f and all that, okay? Then you can easily derive all of these. Okay, all derivations clear? Do you have to remember these? Of course. Right? All of these are very, very important formulas of this chapter. Right? Or whenever you get frequency or anything like that. This is very useful. So what we have done, listen. What we have done is we have related the force constant. We have related the force constant with these things. Okay? Right? So why is this useful? Let me just give you some idea about it. It's that sometimes when some object is doing acid, right? Then if we find total force on it, I repeat, let's say there is some object, this is doing acid, suppose, going this way, this, that, and that, right? So if we can find total force on it, then we can find K. And if you can find K, using all these relations, you can find whatever you want, omega, frequency, or time period. So often we get questions like that there is some particle or some body which is oscillating like this, which is doing simple harmonic motion, and we have to find out its force constant, or we have to find out frequency and time period, right? So that you can do if you connect it this way. So first draw FPD, so you know this, from FPD you can find this, and then you can find all this. Okay. Fine. Now let's go to the next thing. I'm erasing it. Okay, I hope everyone has noted it down. Okay. Now let's solve a question based on this. Okay, it's more so a question or derivation, you could call it either one. So let's say that we are back to spring mass system. Let's say we are back to spring mass system here. So easy case, again the most simple case of simple harmonic motion, the simplest possibility. Yeah, this. So let's say there is a spring of spring constant Ks. Why am I writing Ks? Why am I not writing K? So that we can avoid confusion of what is spring constant and what is force constant. So Ks for spring constant. Ks for spring constant. Okay? Let's say that this is a frictionless or a smooth surface. Okay, and now if we would take this, hold this from here and pull it, let's say we drag it, okay, pull it a little bit. So this is mean position already, We bring it out from the mean position. So suppose this spring is extended like this, and then we release it. Okay, then we release it, so it will start doing SHM, right? We have already talked about it. So let's say at some point of time, its displacement from mean position is x. Is it clear? At some point of time, the displacement from mean position is x. This is mean position 0, right? So from here, this is the distance x. Understood? Okay. At that time, we are going to draw its FBD. At that time, we are going to draw its FBD of block. At that particular time. Okay, usual questions to ask. Come on, how many forces are there? How many forces? And which forces? How many and which forces? Everyone, hurry up. How many forces are there and which forces? Okay. So overall you guys are getting it right. Okay. Yeah, fine. So here is the answer. See, simple questions as we have been asking earlier. Does it have mass? Yes, mg downwards. Does it touch the surface? Yes, it's touching this ground or floor, so normal force upwards. Is there friction? No. Smooth. Then is it tied to a spring? No, but there is a spring. So here this spring, will it pull the block towards left side or push the block towards right side? What do you think? Will it pull the block or push the block? Pull the block towards the left side. Very good. So this is spring force. This is spring force, right? One confusion that could come to your mind is, where is the restoring force? Didn't I tell you that for SHM you need a restoring force? Right? Where is the restoring force? Okay, so before you answer in and you get more confused, anyone, listen to this carefully. Restoring force is not a force again. It's only the total. It's only the total of forces, that is net force. Okay, just like centripetal force, right? Centripetal force only means addition of forces and their components in one direction. Okay, in one line, correct? So just like that, is restoring force a particular force? No. Restoring force only means this. I hope that is absolutely clear. Okay? Sure? Concept clear about restoring force? Alright? So, sigma F external, which is also restoring force because this particle is in SHM, will be equal to, now let's say right side positive and left side negative. Okay. We know vertically this is in equilibrium, correct or not? N will be equal to mg, there is no big deal. So do you realize that this will be minus Fs? Fs is only magnitude, right? Fs is only magnitude. Clear? Clear or not clear that line? Sigma F external equal to minus Fs. Clear or not clear, everyone? Correct? Okay, or you thought it is too trivial or too simple? Okay, fine. Sorry. So never mind. So Fs. What is Fs? When you have stretched a spring by a distance x, this is elongation, isn't it? This is also elongation. I agree it is displacement, but it is also elongation, right? Okay, so that's why instead of spring force in magnitude, I can just write kx. Minus sign already there. Clear or not clear? but this is spring constant, not force constant. Okay, what I have done there? Ks, not K. Ks. Spring constant. Well, so do we see the ID? Yes or no? That is, if you want to know whether this is SHM or not, we have to check the ID. What's the ID? Does it show this ID? Yes or no? Does it show this ID? Yes or no? Okay? It shows that, right? Yes, correct. Because you can compare it with this equation. Suppose you write force constant now. See, when you have proportionality for SHM and then you remove that proportionality and you write K. What is this K called? It's called force constant. Do you remember that? This K is called force constant. Not spring constant, force constant. But we are seeing that these equations are same except for one thing. What's that one thing? Here you have Ks into x and here you have Kf into x. What does that mean? What does that mean? We should have mirrored by comparison Kf equal to Ks. Okay, by comparison we have Kf equal to Ks. So it is in this simple case, that force constant is also the same as spring constant. Is it necessary that every time it's like this? No. Okay, not necessary. There are other kinds of cases or complicated situations possible where Kf and Ks are not equal. Okay, घड़ी बार ये होता है SHM होता है, but there is no spring. Right? Sometimes there is SHM without a spring. Then obviously there is no spring one. Okay? Fine. Now let's go to the next. So let's solve a question that is based on gravitation and simple harmonic motion, both. Suppose there is the earth, which is a uniform solid sphere, right? And we make a tunnel inside the earth, okay? Assuming that we have made some mechanism to prevent things from heating up. So let's say this is the tunnel, okay? And let's say as usual Earth has mass me, Earth has radius re, okay? Right? Now what are we going to do? If suppose we could put a small particle at center, okay? Let me write it. Small particle of mass m is placed at center of earth. Okay, the tunnel is very thin, that is a small tunnel. I hope you understand what I mean by small. Okay, not too big in width. So small particle of mass m is placed at the center of earth. If it is pushed slightly or gently towards right side, okay, find the time after which it will come back to the center of Earth for the first time. Okay. I know the video is blurred. I'm waiting. Right? Even Zoom did not like this question. Can you read the question now? Is the question clear on the board? Is it clear? Can you read it? Okay. So that means only 6 people out of 56 can read it. Really? Okay. Now more people are reading. Great. So what is given here is that we put something right here at the center. Okay? And we give it a slight push, a gentle push. So once you do that, you realize it will start moving, going towards the right side. Yes or no? Let's draw it here. Suppose here is the center of Earth. Earlier the particle was here. You push it a little bit, so it will start moving towards the right side. Okay, so it will start going like this. Yes or no? Okay? Well, but you see, the moment it will start to move, do you realize that gravitational force will act towards center of Earth? Yes or no? Gravitational force will act towards center of Earth. Clear? So do you realize that this has chance of being SHM? Yes or no? Why? Because as soon as it moves right side, there is a force acting in the opposite direction. Clear? Okay, so let's find out how much will be that force. Do you remember how to find force on a particle inside the Earth? Gravitation chapter formula. Everyone, come on. Force acting inside a solid sphere or inside the Earth. Do you remember that formula? We derived so many things, so many different formulas for outside the sphere, inside the sphere. Okay? No, it is not going to be zero. It's a solid sphere. It's not a hollow sphere. Inside hollow sphere, it will be zero. Come on, everyone. Waiting, I'm waiting, I'm waiting. Very good, Run. No, they were. That's not true. That is only valid for point masses. जुनू याद रखो, भूली न जाओ. The formula is GMEM by capital R E cube into small r. If you remember, we used to have G inside the Earth. You could use that. You remember this? GME by R squared into small r. Yes or no? So if you multiply mass with G, you will get force. Is this clear? Clear or not? Is the video clear to you? Sometimes I see it's getting a little bit blurred or it's lagging. Is the video clear? Okay. It's definitely lagging. Well, now we have got this force, but this force is in opposite direction, where r is the distance from center. If you want, instead of r for this particular question, we can write this distance as x. Suppose when the particle is here. Okay? Right? Do you also realize that displacement is right hand side? Okay, from center the particle moves right side, but this force is going to bring it back. So actually this is going to be in opposite direction. Clear or not clear? I said that instead of r as usual, let's write x for the displacement from center. Okay, so from here let's say the particle has moved a distance x. Particle moved a distance x. At that time the force will be this. So do you see that here Fg is proportional to minus x? Yes or no? Okay, Fg is proportional to minus x. That means this is going to be restoring force. So total external force, which is equal to restoring force, is here equal to Fg, right? Because there will be only one force. You don't have to worry about it. It's not touching anywhere or anything. So this is equal to Fg, which is equal to minus Gmem by Re cube x. So let's compare based on what we have learned. We will compare this with the equation of SHM. What's that? Sigma F external, which is equal to F restoring, should be equal to minus Kx, where K is force constant. Okay, where K is force constant. So what is the force constant K? What is the force constant K? What will be the force constant K? Okay, we will use that later, but here based on this relation, what is K? Can you compare these equations that we have written here and find out what is K, the force constant? Yes, it is Gmem by Req. Clear? This is clear or not? K is Gmem by Req. Simple. This is x, fine. Minus, minus. What's there on this part? As is equal. Okay? So that is K. But that's not the question. Let's read the question. We have to find that if you give it a slight push, so it will go towards the right side, but then earth will attract it back and bring it back towards the mean position. Understood? That is from center it will start going like this and then it will come back. Clear or not clear? So how much time will it take? Obviously this is SHM. I hope nobody has doubt about it, right? This clearly shows the I card of SHM. So in SHM, how much time will it take to go like this and come back to the center? How much time will it take to go towards that right side and come back to the center? Will it take time period or not? If not, what will it take? Will it take time period? Okay, so Raj, you are saying d by 4. Again, I am repeating my question. If here is mean position, where is the center? Right? Particle starts from here, it moves like this, goes to amplitude and comes back. Isn't it? This is called extreme position. How much time does it take to go from M to E to back to M? How much time does it take? Okay, so some of you are answering t by 4, some of you are answering t by 2. Well, correct answer is t by 2. Clear? Because going only m to e takes t by 4. Do you remember? Going only from m to e takes t by 4. Right? So going from m to e t by 4 and going back from e to m t by 2. So final answer of this question is t by 2, right? But you can't write answer like this. You have to give answer based on what's given here. So can you find t by 2 now using k? Can you find t by 2 now using k? Do it. Tell me the answer. Come on. I know this is going to be very complicated to write in the chat box. No problem. After 1 minute exactly, I will write down the answer. Okay? Let pi be pi. Okay. So, first of all, E is equal to 2 pi under root m by k, and then this is t divided by 2. Okay, so that's going to be our answer. So let's put values to cancel. Okay, so this is equal to root of m upon k. So m upon k is g m by r cube. So r cube will be in numerator. M cancelled. This is your final answer. It will take this much time to come back to the center of Earth. Understood? Okay. Now I am going to assign some homework. Right? Very little homework, don't worry. Exercise question 14.9. Okay, exercise. Question 14.9. Okay, you make sure you do it. And send the solution as well. Okay, right? So with that, and then one more that I will give you actually 14.3. Also 14.3. Okay, do that for homework again. Right? That's enough. Goodbye, everyone.